All right, hello everybody, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about how to grow as a software engineer. Now this subject is a bit touchy to some people, I think, at least that's what I've experienced when I've talked about it. And I think there's a big spectrum of people thinking that it's either vital to grow and grow to a certain extent or at a certain level, and people who think that, well, you're gonna grow naturally, so just do what you do, just chill. And I do realize that that is a spectrum that it exists, and also that there is a spectrum of how much you should learn and how much you need to learn, depending on who you are as a person, which company you work for, and which industry you're in. Because IT and the tech industry, even though that is an industry in itself, also spans a lot of different other industries, because today every other company, all companies need IT in some way. So all those things come together to define whether or not you should grow and how much you should grow, how updated you need to be and keep up to date to the technological developments that are happening around the world all the time. So first of all, you need to first figure out and decide how much you need to keep growing as a person. Are you someone who enjoys growing? Because I think most people do enjoy growing and learning new things, but how much of that kind of person are you? That's sort of the fundamental through the whole thing. Because if you don't enjoy learning new things and growing, then throwing yourself on endeavors like that won't be enjoying for you, which is a huge reason to do things from the start. So first of all, figure out, what's reasonable for you in terms of growing. Secondly, you need to look at the company you work for. How much do they care about you growing as a person? Do they offer you ways to grow? And also, is it in their interest for you to grow? Are they in an industry or an area of business that requires them to keep up to date with technological developments? I would say most companies are in some way or another, obviously, but some more than others. With that said, the industry and the area that you work in also factors in a lot, like I said. So finding out how important it is for you to grow is, to me, the starting point to figure out what you should focus on, or how much you should focus on learning. I don't want to say that there is a certain right or wrong way of doing this. It's, I think, very specific to exactly those circumstances that I just mentioned. But I do think that it's important that we grow, because otherwise we're gonna stagnate at some point, and the business and the industry in the world moves on. It's gonna keep growing, it's gonna keep developing, and you need to as well, to a certain extent. So that's why it's so important to figure out how much you need to grow, at least in order to keep up to date and keep up with the world. And all of this, if you're talking about the tech industry, it's not necessarily, and usually not, about the latest JavaScript framework or ORM or what have you. It's much more about the foundational technological developments that happen around the world. For example, AI. It's the elephant in the room, right? So being able to keeping up to date with that, learning how to use these new developments, tools, and technologies to your advantage, because as most people say now, AI is not really gonna replace you as a person. At least not if you're, for example, working in engineering, but rather the engineer who's using AI is probably going to replace you or at least outdo you. So adopting these changing technologies is a part of our work. But some people say, like I said, that, well, it's a part of the job to just learn, to keep growing and learning new things. And I say that it's not necessarily true, because as I mentioned before, the three different things that determine how much you should focus on this, it depends. Mostly it depends on which company you work for and in which industry, because not all industries care about developing you or the technology that they're working on. They just want to keep it running. So that really factors in if you do have the, to me, privilege to learn on the job and grow as you're working. So that's not something that you should just throw about and not think that it's unique, because it is. It is a privilege, and you should definitely take advantage of it if you have it. But you shouldn't presume that it is something that everybody has, and it is an advantage that you should take care of. Otherwise, it's a waste, to be honest. If you figure out, well, how much you should grow and how much you can grow and how much you're interested in growing, then you can focus on the different paths, which is a very big thing about when it comes to the tech industry. Focusing on understanding what you enjoy with your work is a big part. So if you're a huge fan of writing good quality code, solving really complicated technical problems, using the latest technologies and building things, maybe working towards architecture or technical lead or something is much more your route. Or maybe just staying in software engineering and working on programming in itself. You can become really good, maybe even niche yourself in certain technologies and earn a lot of money just working on really cool programming problems. But if you like taking responsibility, taking lead on projects, working in a team, collaborating and solving problems together that way, then maybe a lead or possibly even a form of manager might be the kind of role that you should be looking at growing into. And that really affects a lot of what you should focus on in terms of growth. Focus on what you enjoy, focus on your strengths, and focus on the things that you feel like it's easier for you, rather than trying to focus more on building up weaknesses that might not even contribute to a role that you enjoy. So I think that's a big part. Work is still work, but if you can find something that you enjoy doing it, you're probably going to do it a lot better than somebody who just does it because they have to. That's at least my opinion or my experience. So if you figure out your path, another way to find growth and to grow as a software engineer is to change industries. Because industries really affect the kind of problems and solutions you have to come up with. For example, if you have an e-commerce web company working on the web, selling clothes, for example, they won't have nearly the same challenges and needs as, for example, a defense company working on surveillance equipment and sensors. So you can grow a lot from just changing industries, really, as a software engineer, and that will propose or actually give you new challenges and solutions to tackle. Understanding what you enjoy and love about what you're working with is a huge, great indicator, and choosing paths based on that together with choosing industries, which can also be an interest-driven decision, can really help you grow into a role where you earn a lot and you're really enjoying your work. So sure, it's all part of work, absolutely, but unless you actively choose not to change as you work, of course, which I don't encourage, because obviously that won't work long in the longevity in the long term, because the industry never stops changing, as I said. And in the end, like I said, earning and stuff, this all affects your salary as you grow. If you stagnate and just keep doing the same things, probably your salary is not going to change that much. Not only does the location of where you work impact your salary, but the industry that you work in, the technology that you're working with, and the languages you work in, and finally the responsibility, which I think is the biggest part of your salary. So in the end, you keep learning new technologies. Maybe you choose a very specific niche technology with so few engineers that your salary increases 3 times towards what a senior engineer in a more popular domain would earn. But at a certain point, the salary will stagnate unless you choose to take on more responsibility. At a certain level, there is eventually a salary ceiling, no matter what kind of work you do in engineering. That's where you gotta ask yourself if you want to take more responsibility. Really, that's as simple as that. Do you want to work towards a C role, like a CTO or something? Or could you see yourself taking a chief role, like a chief architect, or an engineering manager? Or are you just happy with your high quality code, writing the best and most meaningful projects you can imagine? These are, like I said, the kind of questions and ideas you have to get used to and think about over the years when you're working in the tech industry as a software engineer. Personally, I want to stay closer to the code again. I've been an architect and I've been in the position of working in a team of architects that kind of point and say what to do and provide solutionings and schematics and stuff that are based on business values and strategies, but it's much more political and less fun, to be honest. So now I'm moving towards a more hands-on role as, sure, an architect or a lead in a team, building some really fun and cool stuff. So that's how I feel right now, but we'll see how things develop. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful, or insightful or just enjoyable to watch, I guess, just hearing me ramble. I would love to hear your own story. If you're a software engineer and you're growing, or you've been growing for years and you've been trying different industries and different roles and seeing how you develop and what you found most enjoyable, just leave those in the comments. And yeah, if there's anything you found that I missed or didn't touch upon, of course, let me know in the comments as well. But overall, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.